comes and takes the stage. Give her a hand.
I have instructions from the man with the camera to make sure I use the microphone, so I'm following my instructions well. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. It's certainly a pleasure. I was so excited when Mary called and made the offer, and I never turned down an offer to speak, let me tell you, because I love to get out into the community. I love to talk about probably the biggest passion I have, and that's your heart. Not just your physical heart, but your spiritual heart. They're both incredibly important, and God's gifted you with some amazing things, not only with the physical body, but with the spiritual body. And so I'm so excited to be a part of this chapel today. I loved your statement of faith. It made me feel so at home. So I'm just so happy to be here. So a little bit about my story. I have been with Arkansas Heart Hospital since June of 1996. This coming June, I'll head into my 25th year being part of the Heart Hospital, which has indeed been a blessing and a pleasure. In 2015, the end of 2014 actually, Dr. Bruce Murphy, who is the president of Arkansas Heart Hospital, called me in and he said, "Vickie, I want to talk to you." And I said, "Okay, whatever we want to talk about." And he said, "I have done something really cool." Now, he is known for doing a lot of really cool things, and he said, "I have formed a foundation." Now, he and I, over the course of many years, had talked about at some point in time the Heart Hospital being big enough to have a foundation, and he said, "I've done it. I have formed a foundation. I'd like you to help me build it." So we began a journey in January of 2015 to build the Arkansas Heart Foundation. In the beginning, the mission was just to continue to do cardiovascular education in and around the community. After all, it's important. Heart disease still remains today, even after all the research, all the studies, and everything going on. Even today, it remains the #1 killer in the world, the #1 killer in the United States, and sadly, friends, it is the #1 killer of Arkansans. So we have not moved the needle very much on getting ahead of and getting into prevention of heart disease. Sadly, there's more than enough to go around, and more than enough for us to treat for eons and eons to come. So we began to build, we continued with that task and that mission of educating in the community on heart disease. I have handouts for you today. In this handout, you're going to see the warning signs of a heart attack, the risk factors of heart disease, for you to be able to read. None of this is new news, folks. No big news flash. These are the same things we've been telling you for years and years and years. It's your family history. It's your cholesterol levels. It's your blood sugar. It's your hypertension. All of these things contribute to heart disease and what it is doing to our communities. If we took a show of hands, probably I would say maybe 3/4 of you in this room, if I said who in this room has a family member or you yourself have dealt with heart disease, my guess is 3/4 of the people in this room would have a hand raised. Am I right?
Right.
Probably so. If I asked how many were hypertensive in this room, about probably half of you would tell me that you're hypertensive and taking some kind of a hypertensive medication. There'd probably be 1/3 of you that would tell me you're diabetic. These are all huge and serious chronic diseases that contribute to heart disease. So when we started at it, we've been at the foundation really working hard on it, continuing the corporate education and the community education. I was continuing to do screenings. And then Dr. Murphy called me in again. And it was this time, we were about probably mid-2016. And he said, "I've been thinking about something." And I said, "What have you been thinking about now?" It's always dangerous when he thinks, because it always means I'm going to get a new task. Which is okay by me. Okay by me. I'm ready to run. He said, "Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we could create a generation of young people that didn't have to have Arkansas Heart Hospital?" I said, "Indeed it would." He said, "Let's start working on that. Let's start thinking about how can we make that happen." So I began to do the research. And here's what I found. Terribly disturbing. The research was telling me that in Arkansas is in the top 5 states for obesity.
Wow.
What it further told me, and the one that broke my heart even more than that, is that our kids are suffering. And this is from the 2016-2017 school year. 39.9% of our kids ages 10 to 17 are already classified as overweight or obese. 39.9% of our children already from 10 to 17. The CDC issued a report that said the current generation of children is the first generation in history predicted to not outlive their parents. Did you hear what I said? Not outlive their parents. I'm not talking grandparents, I'm talking parents. Because obesity is taking such a toll. One of the things we know about obesity is it drives chronic disease states. It drives hypertension, it drives diabetes, it drives heart disease. If we can get a grip on that, and we can begin to educate our children in the lower grades about making healthy choices, perhaps we could create a generation of folks that wouldn't have to have the heart hospital. Now that goes a lot for someone that says, you know, we're promoting the heart hospital, we want people to come see us, but what a nice change of pace and breath of fresh air to say, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to come see us? It absolutely would. So while we remain the number one killer, heart disease, the number one killer, and ladies, thank you for wearing your red and bringing attention to women and heart disease. 1 in 3 women will die of heart disease. 1 in 3. We all are at risk. I personally had a risk. My dad died of a heart attack, so my risk was elevated simply by the fact that I have a family history. In 2009, I began to experience fatigue and tiredness. I had no chest pain. I had no pain in my arm. I was just tired. And girls, that's really not that big a deal for us, is it? We're all balancing 92 different things, and being tired, it's just what it is. So I ignored it. And I ended up having a cath, and the catheterization, which we go in and looked at the heart to see where the blood's going or not going, showed that I had an 85% blockage in my LAD. LAD is known as the widowmaker. If you have a heart attack and the blockage is in that particular vessel, you most likely will not survive. I was told by Dr. Henry in 2009 when he did my cath, your blockage was 85%. It was in a terrible place. Had you had a heart attack, you would not have survived. 2009. I hadn't had any of my 3 grandchildren yet. Oh, what would I have missed? So, if heart disease is what I do, and educating on heart disease is what I do, and I ignored it, and I missed it, what are you doing? Girl, men and women, you've got the monkey don't see, monkey don't hear. We're all not looking at that. And I did it, and this is what I do for a living. So what are you doing? Don't ignore. Don't ignore. So we began to work out what would it look like? What would it look like if we could change it in the schools? So that's what we did. We put together a pilot project. We started in August of 2018. I've done my years for early. 2018, and we piloted with the school in Morrilton. We are currently working with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders to see if we can create some legacy in them. We can create some new habits in them, because this is what this is about. It's about lifestyle choices and habits. If I can begin to make the better habit now, perhaps I'll make a better habit as an adult. Number 1 killer in the world, number 1 killer in the United States, number 1 killer in Arkansas. Did you know that it is 85% preventable? If heart disease is 85% preventable, why is it still the number 1 killer? We do not want to take the steps it takes to prevent it. I would rather spend my day in front of the screen. I would rather stay on the couch. I would rather eat chips, and I do. I would rather do all those things that are not necessarily the greatest choice for me. I'm a heart patient. I have a stent. I'm happy to say that my stent was placed on a Friday. I was back at work on a Monday. I was back out on the dance floor the next Friday night. And I've been dancing every Friday night since. God is good. God is gracious. And He has blessed me. But He's also given me a brain to think so that I will make better choices. Because my plan is leading the line dance at 91. It is just there. But I won't do that if I don't make the right choices. So our kids. So we're working with our kids now, trying to teach them nutrition, trying to teach them fitness, trying to bring to them, you have the power to make the choice. We all have the power to make that choice. I want you to make the right choice. I want you to make the right choice for you, for your family, for your kids, for your moms, for your dads. It is not too late to make some changes. Is it hard work? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Very hard work. But it is well worth the cost if we can avert a heart attack, if we can avert a stroke. Heart attacks are bad enough. Anybody got family members that have stroke? Heartbreaking. Sometimes they don't make it all the way back. They still have a part of their body that's weak or a part of their mind that's weak. That is the dilemma of a stroke. I don't want anyone to have a stroke. I don't want anyone to have a heart attack. I want you to own your health. It is up to you. Do we have family history that's always going to impact? Yes. If you have family history, your risk is just up here. You have to work harder than the average bear. You just do. If you have hypertension or you have diabetes, your risk is now threefold. You have to work harder than the average bear, but the choice is yours to make. If we smoke, it's a risk factor. So knowing what the risk factors are, knowing what the warning signs are, and then making appropriate choices is what hopefully will keep you from having a heart attack. My early years, the first year I was out doing screenings, I had a young man that came and sat at my table. And I was checking for cholesterol and blood sugar. He was so excited. He sat down and he began to rattle very, very quickly. Let me tell you everything I do. I run, I eat well. Man, he was the poster child for doing everything you need to be doing for a healthy heart. And I said, wow, that's impressive. I wish I did all of that. And he said, wait, let me tell you why. And I said, okay. He said, my dad had a heart attack when he was 37 years old. And I said, I'm so sorry, that is an awfully young age to lose someone. He said, oh no, he didn't die. He said he lived to about 70, but he was never the same. The heart attack debilitated him to the point that he was never able to come to any of my ball games. He never left the house because he couldn't. The heart was so damaged from the massive heart attack that he never contributed to our family like he had before. And he said, I made up my mind at about 19 that was not going to be me. He said, so I started eating right. I started exercising. I started taking care of myself. He said, I'm 35 now. Do you think I'm going to have a heart attack? And I said, that is not my call. But let me tell you what I do know. Because you've made such great choices, the likelihood of that heart attack devastating you like it did your dad is probably not going to happen. Because your body's strong. And you'll be able to bounce back. Because you've made right choices. You've done the right things for you. Couldn't promise the young man that he wouldn't have a heart attack. And I never saw him again, so I hope he didn't. But I do know he was doing the right things. So it's not too late for you to do right things. We can all make better choices every single day. Not just about our diet and exercise, but about a myriad of things in our lives. We can make better choices every day. And I would encourage you to do that. In the handout that I've given you today, we talk a little bit about the warning signs. Please pay attention to that. We so easily ignore the warning signs. If it's not normal for you, it is okay to go to an ER or to your doctor and say, hey, this is going on and it's not normal for me. It's okay to say, can we check my heart first?
Right.
Absolutely. Because I would like to rule that out. Because, a hot gallbladder looks a whole lot like a heart attack. So if I check your heart first and it's not your heart, I'm going to look at that gallbladder. We're going to take care of that. So it's okay. You're your own best health advocate. If you don't do it, nobody else will. So I'm going to encourage you to do that today. I'm going to encourage you to stay with your course of study. It's important. I am so proud of each and every one of you that are here today pursuing that goal that you have in mind. It's important. Don't let things shake you up. High school, I was extremely shy. You couldn't drag me in front of a room. I had a speech class, I took an F. You know why? I was terrified of standing up. I got up like this, and that's pretty much what happened. I just wanted the floor to open up, and I just wanted to crawl in. I love God's sense of humor. At 64, look what he's got me doing. Holy cow! Standing up in front of people, loving what I do, getting to talk, and being really okay with it, and good with it. It's a gifting from my Father God, and I am grateful for it. Every time I get to speak, no matter what my message is, when I'm done, I always feel His good pleasure. So find out what your gifting is, seek it, pursue this degree, finish it, and feel God's good pleasure. It's there for you. I'm going to leave you with one final thing. The secret to living well and long: eat half, walk double, laugh triple, and love without measure. Thank you so much.